Good evening again, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome again to 103 FM's Men Health Clip Hour. My name is Dennis Webster, and I'll be your host this evening. Joining me, as always, is Dr. Flavio Cardoni, my co-host. Thanks again, Dr. Cardoni, for coming back. And
thanks, and hello, Trinidad again.
And we have Greg here, who's going to be keeping us moving smoothly. I'd like to start the show again, as always, with a reminder that you should always seek the advice of a physician or other qualified healthcare provider if you have questions regarding a medical condition, and that you never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you've heard on this radio show. Dr. Cardoni, today we're going to talk about some myth busters. That should actually take us through the hour. There's a lot we can discuss about that, and I'd like to start, Dr. Cardoni, with this thing about alkaline water. Can you tell us a little bit about the myth around this alkaline water?
Yes, in Trinidad they sell alkaline water, which is just water with a slightly higher pH than normal water. And
is this like the fountain of youth? Is it going to change our lives in a positive way?
No, it doesn't actually do anything.
Oh.
There's no, it doesn't hurt, but it doesn't carry any benefit whatsoever. It's
so you're saying it's mainly hype, like we're not going to get any physical benefit from this alkaline water?
It's plain water. Doesn't, but at least it doesn't hurt. It's one of the benign things. But the placebo effect is very strong. The placebo effect refers to things that we believe are going to work, and then
they miraculously kind of work for us.
Yes, and in fact, sometimes in Europe there have been tests of real medicines that have had to be stopped because the patients were warned that the medicine may give them high blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And even when they got the sugar pill, they were getting high blood pressure just by thinking they would get the high blood pressure. So, if people really believe in this alkaline water, they'll probably feel better. But physically it.
So we don't have any scientific studies, saying that that you're going to get some benefit from the alkaline water. What about this boosting up of all this vitamin C that we always hear about?
Actually, just going back to one word you mentioned scientific studies.
Mm-hmm.
There are all kinds of scientific studies. It doesn't mean that because there was a study, something is good, because you have to see how the study was done, if it was done properly, if it was done in a bad way. So there are all kinds of possible. Just saying there was a study doesn't mean anything. Somebody can make a study in his backyard, and it's still a study. But But so you were talking about getting pumped with vitamins.
Vitamin C. We had this. For years you've heard that. When you're getting a cold, if you feel you're getting a cold, just boost your system with tons of vitamin C.
No, actually, it was proven that vitamin C doesn't do anything for the cold.
Right.
The only thing vitamin C does, the excess vitamin C will be excreted by the kidneys.
Right.
So it will go away when people give out urine, so it won't do anything. What vitamin C may do is just, wake you up slightly by stimulating the suprarenal gland, but it has no influence whatsoever on the cold.
You're listening to 103 FM's Men's Health Power. I'm Dennis Webster. Your host this evening. Joining me is Dr. Flavio Cardoni. Dr. Cardoni, if you haven't heard of Dr. Cardoni before, he's a medical doctor as well as an attorney at law. He passed the bar exam at the age of 20. So, I feel very privileged to be in his company this evening, and we've done today up to 5 shows. If you want to text us, you can do so at 4103. You also have the option to log on at 103fm.net. And tonight we're talking about mythbusters. So we're trying to discount some of these stories we hear, sometimes on a regular basis, as to things we can do to boost our system that actually have no scientific basis, at all.
And I feel very privileged to be in Trinidad, which is, as we know, paradise on earth.
Yes, our beautiful twin republic.
So other things that people do, which are a bit strange, but I see we have.
We're just going to take a call. We have a call on the line. Yes, caller. You're listening to 103 FM's Men's Health Power. What can we do for you this evening?
Things that people do, which are a bit strange, but I see we have.
Can you lower your radio, please, because we can't hear you very well. It sounds like you're turning the radio up, please. Can you just turn your radio down so we can hear you more clearly? Thank you. Hello, you have a question for us this evening?
Okay, I think
so the caller's hung up, so we'll wait for that caller to come back.
Yes.
Yes, you were saying, Dr. Cardoni, you were making a point there?
No, I was saying that there are various, things people do which are not really, they think they work, but they don't. Another thing is the famous colon cleansing.
Yes, yeah.
And that doesn't do anything really,
Right.
The people think they drink some special juice and then they have some mild diarrhea and that flushes out
all the toxins from the system.
Yes, but it doesn't work like this.
Actually, read where there's actually you could potentially cause yourself some serious harm from
if you lose too much water and
those electrolytes.
Yes, and especially if you have a heart condition and your potassium can go up, it can be very dangerous. So it seems we have a caller.
We have the caller back. Hi, caller. We lost you a minute ago.
Hello.
Hi, you're at 103 FM's Men's Health Power. Can we help you? Well, you have a question for us?
Yes, I'm calling in to ask Dr. Cardoni and Mr. Webster some questions.
Okay, go ahead. You have our attention.
Hello.
Hi.
You're at 103 FM's Men's Health Power. Can we help you? You have a question for us?
Yes, I'm calling in
Yeah, you need.
Dr. Cardoni and Mr. Webster some questions.
Okay, go ahead. You have our attention.
Yes, ma'am. Can you just lower your radio volume?
Yes.
Because we're hearing that.
Dr. Cardoni and Mr. Webster some questions. Okay, is that good?
Through the telephone, yes, please.
Yes, just turn
okay.
Turn
off
the radio down, and then you can speak to us through the telephone.
Okay, thank you very much for taking my call and for the information that you give on the program.
You're welcome.
You're mentioning today vitamin C, and I know you talked about vitamin C in study last week, and I have some questions with regard to last week. I have about 4. Can I go ahead and ask them all?
Yes, go ahead.
Absolutely.
I'll write them down.
Okay, Dr. Cardoni, you made a point that patients need to be specific about their symptoms and gave examples of what you've encountered, one being headache in my hands. The doctor is a professional and is responsible for making a diagnosis in order to treat the patient. When a patient gives this kind of symptom description, is it not the responsibility of the physician to explore with the patient what is meant by this?
Well,
and what kind of questions might I expect the doctor to ask? That's my first question. My second question
Wait, just 1 second, please. Let's do one question at a time.
Okay, thank you.
So the first question, I would like to say that that yes, it is the responsibility of the doctor to try to find out what the patient meant, but up to a point, because the doctor really doesn't have the time to investigate everything. The patient is not really saying what is going on. So if the patient has a headache in the hand, then of course you try to ask, what do you mean exactly? What are you talking about? But sometimes patients can't even express what they're saying. So yes, it's true. The doctor should try to find out as much as possible, but you cannot say it is the responsibility of the doctor, because
But doesn't it create an opportunity, though, for the doctor to inform the patient with regard to, if he's expressing pain, some of the characteristics that may be helpful in his description to the doctor that would help him more to sort of pinpoint what the problem is?
yes, but sometimes the patient in distress cannot describe the pain properly. So the patient, patient's having a heart attack, and you ask, is the pain lancinating or tearing, or and also in good practice you shouldn't prompt the patient. You shouldn't suggest. So
don't put words in their mouth.
Yes, yes. Okay. So yes, the doctor should try to find out something more, not just accept the I have a headache in my finger.
Well, a difficult one too is, when you go to your doctor and you're saying, doc, I'm feeling unwell. It's probably the one thing that he knows for sure, unless you're spending a lot of time on a personal basis. He knows that you're unwell, so it helps if you can give him as much detail about what's going on with you. If it's pain, what type of pain you're having, where it's located. If you're having any other symptoms with it, is it making you nauseated, or is the pain moving from one spot to another? All these are good little bits of information that can help your doctor, try and pinpoint, what the problem is.
But let's go on to your other questions. Maybe just tell them all. I'll write them down so we can clear
So what's your
the line
second question there?
For other people.
Thank you very much. Dr. Cardoni,
can you tell me where you're calling from, ma'am?
Yes, my name is Alex, and I'm calling from Canada. I listen to the program here in North America.
Wonderful, wonderful. Glad to have you on the show.
Dr. Cardoni, you talked about fever being a measurable increase in body temperature. Could you tell us what a normal body temperature means or is? And does this mean that I should have a thermometer at home so that I can give this information to the physician? My next question is, you mentioned doctors and their qualifications. How do I know that the doctor seeing me is qualified and good at treating patients? Is there a government or registration department that makes sure that doctors are well qualified for their job? And can this be accessed by patients? And my last question is, you suggested that when traveling that a list of medications be kept in a person's wallet. I think it would be a good idea that an up-to-date list of medication be in the wallet even if you're not traveling. It's a good reference for when you see a doctor. What information should be on the list? And with that, if I have allergies, how do I make sure that someone treating me knows about that, for instance, in an emergency situation? Those are my questions. Thank you both very much and for the information you provide on this program.
You're welcome.
Okay, so thanks for calling. So the normal temperature is 37 degrees Celsius, which I can't tell you how much it is in Fahrenheit because in Europe we don't use them. So it's 37 degrees, and yes, it's a good idea to have a thermometer at home because
I'd like to know how many people actually have thermometers at home, like in the case of a fever that you can actually access a thermometer. That'd be interesting to know. So if you're carrying, if you make sure and have your thermometer at home, just let us know.
Because a thermometer is actually very, very cheap, and if you feel warm or you feel cold, it doesn't mean you have a fever. And you go to the doctor and you say, I had a fever last night, and the doctor will want to know what was the temperature, how long it was, and especially in Trinidad, I have a fever. I found out I have a fever can mean anything. So can mean I was nervous, can mean I had a headache.
Feeling unusual.
Yes, everything is fever. So,
right.
But unfortunately, you go and tell a doctor I had a fever, will ask what temperature.
Right.
In fact, I always have a thermometer with me. It's one of those contactless thermometers.
Right.
And so very often they come to me, they say, I have a fever, I point it at their forehead, and then I show them, no, you don't.
You have a fever.
So yes, people should always have a thermometer. It's a very cheap thing to have at home. And
is it important also that if they feel they have a fever, whether they have rigors also?
Wait, because I was still talking about the thermometer. It's also important that the thermometer is, if you can, don't buy the old glass ones with the mercury that can break. You can buy the new electronic ones, which are not so, which don't break, and they're very, very cheap. You can buy them literally for just a few dollars.
Is that in Trinidad?
Yes, in Trinidad too. You asked about shivering. Well, that doesn't also tell much, because maybe you can shiver at a low temperature if it's cold. So
But rigors, usually rigors. I mean, rigors are usually indicating that it could be something bacterial as opposed to something viral.
Well, as I said, if you're shivering, then don't expect it to be especially high. But the important thing is to measure the temperature. Now, passing to question number 3, you asked about qualifications of doctors. Well, you were calling from Canada, so I don't know exactly in Canada how it works, but in here, people can go to the website of the Medical Board of Trinidad and Tobago. In the UK, you can go to the GMC's website, and you just check, you put a name and surname, and then you can check if the doctor is licensed and registered. One important thing to realize is that the caller asked if the doctor is well qualified. Well, that is a different thing, because there are countries, and it doesn't not in Trinidad, that the doctor has to keep studying to keep his license.
Continuing medical education.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in the United States, in England, and in several other countries, the doctor, to be a doctor, must be evaluated every year, must show what conferences he has attended. And by the way, I'm saying he, and of course I mean he or she, but
right.
Because in fact, I think there are in Europe we have more female doctors than male doctors, but
it lets your professional body know that you're keeping abreast of changes.
But what I was saying was that while there we have this requirement that the doctor keeps studying, here you don't. No. So you can only check if somebody finished medical school. You can't check if they're up to date or not, but you can check whether someone is a doctor or not. So next question was the list of medications to be kept in the wallet. Yes, of course, you should have that all the time in case of an accident, and the list should contain what medication you're taking and the dosage. So let's say, I'll say acetyl salicylic acid, 500 milligrams twice a day.
We have a caller on the line. We're just going to take a break and get this caller. Caller, you're listening to 103 FM's Men's Health Clip Hour.
Yes, hi, good night.
Good night.
Yeah, Doc, I enjoy your last program you had last week, right?
Last Tuesday, yes.
There is some real nice topics. I really appreciate that. I must commend you on that, right? But we have a problem here in our country, right? That, let's say...
Only one?
Go and see a specialist, right? Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, if you have to go and see a specialist to start with, you have to pay like $300 to $700 to make an appointment without even getting a diagnostic to your problem or anything like that.
Right.
And I find that is very unfair to some doctors in our country.
In what way unfair?
Because you go, the same thing your last doctor tell you, when you meet the specialist, the specialist comes around and say, well, it's like the same thing your first doctor tell you when you meet the specialist. It's the same thing they tell you, and you pay all that money just to have an appointment. I find that is very unfair.
Yes, I also think so, because that is a bad use of the specialist. Because the proper way to use the specialist would be to be sent there only when the first doctor doesn't think he's good enough for that. So doing the same thing twice is really not so.
But it's like the last doctor take X-rays and all these kind of things to see what's wrong with you. And when you meet the specialist just tell you this and tell you that, and that is it. He don't even take an X-ray. He don't even check to see if your pressure high or your sugar high or anything like that. If you understand what I say.
So it sounds like you feel you're not getting fully assessed. Is that what you're thinking?
It's like extortion. Extortion, just like that.
Yes, that's of course wrong. The specialist should also, check you and do everything, but
Well, here in my country, specialist is like someone's name. But thank you for that, and I enjoy listening to you.
Thank you for your call, sir.
Thank you.
You're listening to 1-3 FM's Men's Health Clip Hour. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to 103 FM's Men's Health Clip Hour. I'm Dennis Webster, and joining me today is Dr. Flavio Cardoni, a medical doctor and attorney at law. And he was just actually finishing answering some questions that we had from a caller who called from Canada. And Dr. Cardoni, you want to continue with
yes.
Question number 4?
Yes. So we still had 2 questions to answer. One was that if about the list of medications should be kept in the wallet.
Right.
Yes, people should keep the medication, a list of the medications in the wallet at all times. The list should have the name of the medication and the amount they're taking and how often during the day. And of course, what they should do is they have to keep the list current.
Right.
So if they stop taking some medicine, don't leave an old list.
Or if you've had a change in your dosage or whatever, it's good to make the changes. One thing I wanted to add was, and I don't really notice a lot in Trinidad, is people wearing medical alert bracelets. I don't think I've ever seen anyone really with a medical alert bracelet on. Do you think that would be a helpful thing for people to have, especially if they're allergic to things like penicillin and?
Yes, if people have real strong anaphylactic reactions, so we were talking about allergies, a medical bracelet is always a useful thing to have. In Europe, people who have diabetes often have a bracelet that says they have diabetes. Well, but the question was how to let people know about allergies. So that is also something you should keep in your wallet in case there is if there is an accident or something, then they will find that paper.
Right.
We have even extremes of that, because we have there are in England people who get tattoos saying I'm allergic to I'm not suggesting that's a bit too much. I wouldn't do that, but then also I don't have any very bad allergies. But yes, also another thing that is very important is that people should know what it means to have an allergy, because sometimes here in Trinidad people use allergy meaning anything. So they say I'm allergic to something, but they mean they don't like the taste of the medicine, or the medicine gave them an upset stomach, so because they took it without eating anything. So they shouldn't do that, because an allergy is a really serious thing. It means you can't take that medicine at all, and the moment you tell the doctor I have an allergy to that, then you're not getting that medicine. And sometimes you don't really have an allergy to the substance in the medicine.
Right.
You may have an allergy to something else.
That's mixed in with the medicine,
Yes.
like a preservative of some sort.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that is what has caused
Causes the
the allergy. So people should be very careful when using the word allergy, because sometimes it can have very serious consequences for them. Because imagine somebody has a heart attack and they tell the doctor, I'm allergic to adrenaline.
Right.
And then
And he can't really help you.
the doctor knows that it's probably not true,
Right.
but it would be a big decision on the doctor. Do I give adrenaline and save his life because I think
That's what he needs.
I think it's not a real allergy,
Right,
or do
right.
I kill him with the adrenaline because he really meant he had an allergy?
Okay, you're listening to 103 FM's Men's Health Group Hour. You can reach us at 628-4103. You also have the option to log in at 103fm.net, or if you'd like, you just send us a text at 4103. Tonight's topic is Mythbusters. We basically talked about alkaline water. We talked about vitamin C, having too much of vitamin C. Actually, the recommended daily dose of vitamin C for men is actually like 90 milligrams, I believe. So there's really not a huge benefit of spending a lot of money buying larger doses of vitamin C, because as Dr. Cardoni explained, the kidney is basically just going to get rid of what they don't need. So if you're spending a lot of money getting all this extra vitamin C, it's really unnecessary. Okay.
Yes, there are many other things people do in Trinidad that... so another thing they have is that they have some miracle juices and
Right.
mixtures that they say they'll cure them of diabetes, they'll cure them...
Do you find, though, Dr. Cardoni, that some of the advertising in general can be very misleading and probably even dangerous? Just one moment, we have a call on the line. Yes, hello, welcome to 103 FM's Men's Health Clip Hour. Do you have a question for us?
Hi, good night. Good night to the panel. From your last caller's interjection in the conversation,
Yes.
he was talking about when you go to your GP, a general practitioner,
Yes.
and then you go to a specialist for review.
Right.
I find in Trinidad here, when we go to our specialist for review, this is exactly what they do. Nothing. They just like glide or slide on your GP's report, and they somehow automatically bond with that and give you back exactly the same thing. So it's like it's what the guy is saying. It's extortion because they charge you heavy fees and they give you nothing for real wood. Sometimes they sit on their ivory throne of tower or whatever you call it, and with their egos.
Right.
And sometimes they can be compromising your health.
Right.
Now, also add to that, I want to add that what I've noticed here, I don't know, I cannot speak for the Caribbean region, but what I can say is in Trinidad here, we don't have a office or board or membership that we can go to for professional medical reviews.
Right.
This is what is needed here in Trinidad.
Right.
We need someone to step in and say, okay, because in a case that you have something like a medical malpractice,
Right.
if you don't know the right people, you cannot, even with your own personal research, you cannot go and get these professional people to come in and help you. And most times, if something goes wrong, obviously the doctors are not going to help you get those needed medical reports. And most of the time, the attorneys don't have time to help you find that. That's my contribution. Thank you.
So, going to your questions, yes, I mean, what if the specialist doesn't do anything, it's wrong, because unless you're extremely lucky in Trinidad that it happens that all your GPs are so good that the specialist automatically agrees with them, but I think it's not very likely.
Well, I had a personal experience where I met one GP who said that as soon as he sees an elevated PSA, he sends him directly to the urologist. So I think maybe there's some more that can be done at that level before getting to the specialist, because we know that the GP can do his the specialist surgeries. So we want to basically leave or make the use of the specialist time as best as we possibly can.
I also think that the GPs are to blame a lot in this, because there are many things they can do without sending the patient to a specialist.
Absolutely, I agree. Absolutely.
But for them, it's a lot easier to say, well, you need a specialist, go away, and
right.
And they make a referral to their specialist friend, which is also, a bit suspicious, let's say.
Right. So I can understand the voice of the frustration, in our citizens. It's not good. There's something we can do to improve that. That would be great.
And what you were saying about there not being a place where you can, complain and get an opinion on something that happened to you medically. Well, we'll try to fix that.
Yeah, we're working on fixing that. So you're listening to FM 103's Men's Health Hour. We're talking about, we're doing myth busting tonight. But if you have questions regarding any of the other topics that we presented, feel free to give us a call. Our number here is 628-4103. You can also log on at 103fm.net. And the third option is you can send us a text, please, at 4103. We're with Dr. Flavio Cardoni. He's a doctor and attorney. And Dr. Cardoni, you have a very big practice in medical malpractice. That's an area of specialty for you, is it not?
Yes, because being both a doctor and a lawyer, so it's very easy for me to very easy. It's easier for me to read a patient's history and find out what the doctor did wrong there. Well, a normal lawyer wouldn't notice some things.
Right.
And also, I think what gives me an advantage is that not working more as a lawyer, I am outside all the, let's say, connection system. And I don't need to be friends with any doctors. Don't refer anyone to anyone. Nobody refers nobody to me.
Right.
So.
Well, that is a big problem that we have really right now. I'm sure that there are doctors out there observing things that probably incorrect and no one's saying anything. So, how do you bring a change about?
I know, because if you think about it, it's a small place. Everybody knows each other. They all studied together. They won't want to hurt a friend of theirs. They will protect themselves, and this is what ends up happening. But going back to our myths, I was talking about those miracle juices that will cure anything. You can't cure diabetes by drinking some fruit juice. I have been to the places that sell these fruit juices. I have drunk them myself. They taste very nice, and I like them. But it's a fruit juice. It's not going to do anything. And what they promise is just not true, because you were talking about advertising. Now you will notice that when they advertise, they're very clever. They don't say this will cure your diabetes. They say this will help with. So helping with, well, yes, because you're drinking a healthy juice instead of eating fried chicken or something. So yes, it helps, but that's what they say. And then the other thing they say often is that, and they write it in very small letters, or they pass it on television very quickly, that this juice or whatever works as part of a therapy,
right?
And should not on its own.
So it's not going to cure you on its own.
Yes,
right.
And should be the part of a well-balanced diet or something like that. But people don't notice that. So I have heard the strangest things. I have heard things like here in Trinidad, once I was in a taxi, I heard on the radio they were advertising some water that contained ions. And they were saying the ions will clean everything. But if you don't know chemistry, then you think, well, that's special water with ions. Well, all water has ions. Everything has ions, actually. So,
but this is special ions.
This
is not the regular ions.
Then
that
they,
you get
they say, and another thing that is, well, that's controversial to be called. Says a myth is a famous homeopathy. So, homeopathy means you're going to dilute the substance so much that what you're drinking after all is pure water. There's nothing there because they say if the water touched once, let's say manganese. Then you wash it, and the water will remember the manganese there, and somehow act on you. So
water memory we're talking about.
Yes. So what happens that the placebo effect is very strong. So some people who actually believe this will work,
it actually works for them.
It may, well, in something, not serious things. I mean, you have a broken arm, it won't work, but. What happens is that if that were true, that water has some memory, then by definition tap water would cure you of every illness, because tap water was once in contact with anything, right? So why not drink tap water, which has a bit of everything? No, so
and it has some ions in it for sure. We know.
Yes, has ions. Has,
you're listening to FM 103's Men's Health Club Hour. I'm Dennis Webster, and I'm here with Dr. Flavio Cardoni. We're just going to take a break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're back to 103 FM's Men's Health Club Hour. If you want to be part of this program, you have three options. You can call us, please, at 628-4103, or you can log in at 103fm.net. Your third option is to send us a text at 4103. This evening we are talking about myth busting. So all those miracle cures that are being advertised, that are going to make your life grand overnight, we're just trying to dispel some of that. And Dr. Cardoni, do you?
Yeah, so I have a next one that I saw in Trinidad. Is with omeprazole. Omeprazole is a proton pump inhibitor that makes your stomach less acidic. Now, that is, it starts to work fully after a few days. It has some side effects, and if taken for a very long time, it damages your kidneys. So, but here, people go to the doctor, say they have an upset stomach, and they very often get omeprazole just like this immediately for nothing. And you see, they don't get told something sensible like, eat less pepper, don't eat this food that can upset your stomach, drink some tea. These.
So we don't look at the easy things that they
give the omeprazole right away, but it's both the fault of the doctors and the patients, because the doctors, instead of thinking about some, let's say, more natural, easy way of curing the upset stomach, they give the omeprazole right away. I even saw cases where people get antibiotics, and they give them omeprazole so the stomach doesn't get upset from the antibiotics, which doesn't make any sense. Because they should be getting something called a probiotic, which is what in Europe is given all the time with antibiotics. I think we have
a couple of texts here.
Question. Is there any need for young boys to take any supplements? Well, no, if they are
eating a balanced diet.
Yes, if they're eating a balanced diet, not really, but I don't know if the young boy is sick or something. But a young boy who is eating properly doesn't need anything extra. Also, I don't know how young is this young boy. If it's a baby, needs the mother's milk, but I don't know.
Right.
Can I have a heart attack without any pain? There is something called a silent heart attack, so in theory, yes, it's possible, but it's very rare. And if you're listening now and you're not in pain, I think I can safely say that almost all the listeners are not having a heart attack.
Right.
If you're not in pain now. I'm not in pain, and I can tell you I'm not having a heart attack.
Right.
So
thank you for sending that text message in.
Going back to the
Losec?
Yes, the omeprazole. So what happens is that also patients here, they like to tell the doctor that they have acid reflux and they want omeprazole. Now there is a difference between having once acid reflux because you ate too much,
the type of food
and yes, or you have
late at night.
Yes, or you have acid reflux because you eat a lot and then you go and lie down. Then yes, you will have acid reflux. Then don't eat so late and eat less. And don't eat and then go lying down. Because real acid reflux, when you have an illness that causes the stomach contents to go up, that's something very serious that can eventually lead to cancer of the esophagus. So that needs to be really looked into. But what happens is that patients come and tell the doctor, I have gastric reflux and I need omeprazole. So the doctor, especially if it's a GP in a health center, the patient is telling me they have this diagnosed acid reflux and needs this medicine, so I'll give it to them. But very often I notice that if you ask a little more, the patient will say that nobody really, because no, they didn't have any gastroscopy, they didn't have any
so
real
no formal diagnosis of gastric reflux, right?
Yes, because somebody should look with a camera inside there to see what's going on, because this omeprazole can be bad for the kidneys. So
what sort of duration are you talking, Dr.
Well,
before we get some kidney impact?
I would say
roughly
at least more than a year.
More than a year.
But you know, still it has important side effects. It will make your digestion very different because the acid the stomach uses also destroys some bacteria.
It's important, yes.
When you take omeprazole, the stomach will not be so acid and your bacteria will change there. So, you know, you shouldn't take omeprazole just like this. There are many things that are just common sense that you can.
I wonder sometimes if it's part also of our culture, because I mean, you know, I write these articles and you know the emails I get, you know, people are always suggesting, asking, is there something I can take? Is there something I can take? It's almost like we're programming, you know, the GPs, you know, to give us something as soon as we get into their office.
Yes, somehow people here
we feel we have to take something to.
Yes, and what they want to take is not. It's always a medicine. It's not something, let's say, common sense, like, you know, drink milk, drink some tea,
increase your fluid intake or something.
Drink some peppermint tea, which is great for the stomach, or chamomile, which helps a lot. But they will rather look for a medicine. We have some more
we have
messages.
Another text message here.
Dr. Cardone, do you have an office? No, let's say not yet. I can only have an office in Trinidad starting from 15th of September. So just be patient. I may have one. We'll see.
I just want to also let our listeners know that I have a blog that I've developed with a lot of information on men's health. The information is there for you. I mean, I know most of this stuff already. So please, when you have a minute, you can, go on to the blog and have a look at the different topics and see if there's anything that, is of interest to you. The blog address is helpatrini. That's helpatrini, .wordpress.com. So it's a blog full of information just for you. Dr. Cardoni, continue right along.
So we were saying that, while in Europe we try to keep people away from medication, and people also don't want to take medication, they prefer to use tea or, common sense approaches.
Right.
Here I find the opposite, that if they don't get a pill, they're not happy about it.
Right.
And
what about this idea also, Dr. Cardoni, of if they tell me it's natural, so it can't cause me any problem because it's natural?
Well, among the natural things, we have uranium, we have arsenic,
all natural.
We have poisonous mushrooms. Those are
all natural. All natural.
So just because something is natural doesn't mean that it's good. I mean, sit on a natural Moruga scorpion pepper and see how the natural pepper is going to burn.
Yeah, it's so don't be fooled by this this thing of natural. Do your due diligence.
And actually, many of the medicines that are pills, they actually come from
the conventional medicine, come from natural sources.
From plants. So, for instance, I'll say the name of the brand just exceptionally, but aspirin, which is acetyl salicylic acid, is from the bark of the willow tree. That's how it was discovered, because people who lived near willow trees in England would boil the bark and the fever would go down.
Right.
So that's one. And there's cancer medicine that comes from plants. There are many things that have an
natural
origin.
Origins,
So just because it comes in a pill, it doesn't mean it's some strange chemical evil thing. And just because it comes from nature doesn't mean it's good. I mean, I'm sure you have lots of poisonous things in Trinidad. I think you have that manchineel tree that if you eat one of those, you die right away.
Yeah,
and
we have some toxic, yes, you do. You're listening to 103 FM's Men's Health Clip Hour. My name is Dennis Webster, and with me is Dr. Flavio Cardoni, a medical doctor and attorney at law. And we are trying to dispel some of the myths that we've heard probably for years and years and years. Things that that should be working great for us, but actually don't work in theory. And I think we need to do our due diligence. I mean, with the advent of the internet now, there's access to information, and we should take the time to do some, a little research on our own. And if you can't do it your own, you're not familiar with the computer, I'm sure there's a family member or friend that can help you, find out a little bit more. Be aware, though, that not all internet sites carry great information, so it's important that you go to reliable sites. Some of them, like the Mayo Clinic, that do have good sources of information. Dr. Cardoni?
Yes, because on the internet you can find anything.
Anything, absolutely.
You'll probably find on the internet that drinking petrol is good for you. So you have, just because it's on the internet doesn't mean that it's good. You mentioned the Mayo Clinic. I'll mention another one. It's called Up to Date.
Yes.
www.uptodate.com. And there they have information that has been really checked.
Right.
And
so you get the facts. You begin the facts.
Yes. Another, we don't have so much time left, but another of the myths that started to appear. I don't know if here yet, but last year in Europe, so people started getting crazy with vitamin B. And saying vitamin B cures cancer, cures depression, and it's a secret, but doctors are friends of the pharmaceutical industry, and so they don't say things about vitamin B.
Vitamin B, yeah.
Now, first, well, it's not true. Vitamin B doesn't cure all these things. And then you know, I would like to be one of these doctors who gets all this secret money from the pharmaceutical industry.
Exactly.
I wouldn't mind at all, but unfortunately it's not like this. It's not that doctors are in some secret conspiracy with pharmaceutical companies and we're all getting extra money to make sure natural medicine is hidden. Now, you know, because if vitamin B really worked like this, it'd be very nice for me, instead of, you know, talking with a patient who has depression and listening to all his troubles, I would say, look, take this pill, take this pill, and half an hour you're okay. Happy.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
But it's not like this. So, so, you know, you can be sure that if something really worked, somebody would be using it properly, and somebody would be selling it and would be used actually by doctors, because doctors don't gain anything by not giving you some easy medicine. For the pharmaceutical industries, of course, there are doctors who work for them, but they have to disclose that.
Absolutely.
And it's not like this. We don't.
It's not a big conspiracy to.
No.
Right.
I wish it were, because then I would buy myself lots of nice things, but it's not.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to 103 FM's Men's Health Clip Hour. I'm Dennis Webster, and I'm here with Dr. Flavio Cardoni. We're getting close to the end of our show now. Again, I would like you to keep in mind that you should always seek the advice of a physician or other qualified healthcare provider if you have questions regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you've heard on this show. Dr. Cardoni, it's been a great evening. Thank you for joining me again. We haven't decided what next week's show is going to be. I guess it's going to be it's going to be a surprise.
We'll keep them on their toes.
We'll keep you on your toes, exactly.
I have a request to say, again, get well, Esther. So I'm saying it because it's somebody.
Esther, your prayers are with us. Your prayers are with you, so get well quickly.
So there I am. And no, go on. Oh, so we had a bit of a mix-up. We were sort of staring at each other.
Is there anyone on the? Yeah.
So we'll have a few.
So we're just about to close the show. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back again next Tuesday. You've been listening to 103 FM's Men's Health Clip Hour, and my name's Dennis Webster, and I'm signing off with Dr. Flavio Cardoni. We'll see you next week, same time, same channel.